I'm Evan Knappen.
And I'm Teddy Knappen.
And welcome to Gun Lawyer. Well, I'm happy to be back.
You're alive.
I'm alive. I had a nice a getaway to Italy and other countries in the Mediterranean, where I was able to walk where the ancients walk and enjoy that area. Man, I'll tell you one thing they got right there is espresso. Oh boy, do they have espresso down right. I love that. But anyway, I also came back with a little cold, as you can tell. So I'm going to be talking with a little bit of a funny voice
Cuban
today.
cigars.
Yeah, that didn't help. But
if you
hey,
smoke too many Cuban cigars,
gotta do what you gotta do, man. Well, luckily it didn't happen until I got back. So, yeah, I did go up to top Mount Etna there. So both the mountain and I were smoking. That was pretty good. You know, there's a lot of very interesting, mind-expanding things that I'll be talking about on the show, particularly regarding weapons and things happening from the ancients that apply to today. And I'm sure we'll get into some of those things in later shows. But today it's very important because the ballot is stronger than the bullet. And you know who said that? I'll tell you who said that. Abraham Lincoln said the ballot is stronger than the bullet. And he's right. It is. And we are now dealing with that very scenario in New Jersey because we have this critical governor's race taking place between Chattarelli and Sherrill, and it couldn't be any starker in the differences when it comes to the Second Amendment. The Democrat, not surprisingly, Sherrill, is, of course, a Second Amendment oppressionist, looking to oppress our rights, to continue in the Murphy tradition of Second Amendment oppression. And on the other side, we have Chattarelli, who is a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. And we can see a night and day difference. So in case you didn't know, it is critical to get out and vote. Please make sure that you vote. I know you hear it all the time. Maybe you get sick of hearing it, but I cannot emphasize how important this opportunity is. We now have a chance to turn New Jersey around. And we've been suffering oppression under Murphy for years. And now is an opportunity to turn that around. And let me tell you, we have a great shot at doing it. First of all, you need to know that Sherrill, the Democrat, has been endorsed by every major anti-gun, gun rights oppression organization, including Everytown for Gun Safety, Moms Demand Action, Giffords PAC, and the Brady PAC, just to name some of the folks that are backing her candidacy. And that should tell you just about everything you need to know. She's come out and made statements about folks carrying firearms, finding it unconscionable in terms of untrained and unchecked individuals carrying. Well, that is hardly what New Jersey is. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. They are thoroughly and completely vetted and trained, in which, in order to even get a permit to carry, you have to pass CCARE and prove your proficiency and training and knowledge of use of force and all the above. So she has no clue other than following the oppressionists' agenda. She has, not surprisingly, earned an F rating from the NRA Political Victory Fund. And NRA has declared her a gun ban extremist. And on the other side of the coin, we have Jack Ciattarelli, who is the opposite. And remember, it's not just his position as governor, but he also then can have his attorney general, and we can get rid of Platkin and his crew of gun rights suppressionists that focus on litigating firearms out of existence and pursuing every cockamamie scheme they can come up with to try to limit our constitutional rights. This is critical. You know, about 4 years ago or so, when Ciattarelli ran, he only lost by about 84,000 votes. And he is coming on strong now. He has tremendous momentum. And I believe that the gun rights issue will be one of the major things that can help put him over the top. And if gun owners would not be apathetic and actually get their asses out and vote, we can help to take our rights back. It is critical. Please, please, please make sure that you do your part. This is the opportunity. How many times do I hear gun owners say to me, "What can I do to help? What can I do to fight? What can I do? What can I do?" I like that. That's a good sentiment to want to know what you can do. Well, I'm telling you right now something you can do. You can vote. You can vote the good guys in. Exercise that precious right to vote. And look, folks, the Republicans have come a long way with the fantastic leadership by President Trump and with the fantastic work done to try to preserve voter integrity, to stop the steal, to stop the fraud. President Trump was successful in probably the ultimate comeback politically of anyone ever in the history of the world. I mean, it's just amazing what that man overcame. But he didn't do it alone, and he did it by focusing on where the problems were. And part of those problems was in our election itself. And we are now going to have monitors from the Justice Department trying to make sure this election is as free from fraud as possible. And the Republicans have a keen understanding of the games that the Democrats play. And so this is where your vote not only matters, but can really count. It can really count. This is going to be critical. And the statement it will make when Ciattarelli wins will even be beyond New Jersey, because it will also show that the Democrat Party is in its death throes, that their progressive, liberal insanity is finally being recognized by folks, even in so-called blue states like New Jersey, and not being accepted, being rejected straight out. It is critical in both the big picture and in the small picture, in the picture related to what happens in New Jersey. Because, folks, there are bills pending right now that have gone halfway through, that will be devastating to our Second Amendment rights. There are so many of these horrible laws that need to be repealed. Laws that are so extreme that we've discussed on this show. We have to make it happen. This is that golden opportunity. And just think of how amazing it will be to have at the same time a Republican president and a Republican governor that are both dedicated to defending, not oppressing, our Second Amendment rights. So please do your part.
One other thing I would highlight for that is that not just what the governor can do, but the governor who appointed, Murphy appointed Platkin, the attack dog who's been
Right.
weaponizing his position to attack our rights, going after gun shops, going after the companies. They've been going after everything they can. Where he is, that you are the top cop in that position. So if Jack gets in, we get someone who is not a Platkin, who won't be the attacker on our rights. So
And actually,
please.
you're right, Teddy. And not only that, the Attorney General can then promulgate Attorney General opinions and other legal decrees that are within their power to expand our rights and to clarify limitations and to advise law enforcement throughout New Jersey about how they need to treat our rights and permitting and all these issues that we're fighting now. It will open up that area greatly. This is a tremendous opportunity here. And it's one of the blessings of living in a republic is that we get this right to vote. So don't ignore it. The ballot is more powerful than the bullet. And with the ballot, we can increase the power behind our bullets. In other words, our ability to exercise our rights. So it's critical, folks. Critical, critical, critical. Hey, I also want to mention an interesting little news bit that you may not have heard, and that is this is from UW News, that more U.S. adults are carrying loaded handguns daily. There you go. And that's not a surprise, I'm sure, to most of us, but the numbers are kind of cool from this article. I just wanted to share them with you. The number of U.S. adult handgun owners carrying loaded handguns doubled from 2015 to 2019. Now, that's just to 2019. I bet it's more than doubled yet again. But even then, it doubled. And this was based on the National Firearms Survey of U.S. adults. And looking at their surveys, they found that from 2015 that it's up 9 million and 6 million carried every day, twice as many as carried in 2015. And this is really great news because the more folks out there carrying, the safer we are. And they're, of course, saying that it's less restrictive carrying regulations. Yeah, we have the tremendous growth of shall issue permits. We have the Bruin decision now. We have constitutional carry. We have actually crime that has been gone crazy in the cities that gets folks wanting to protect themselves. It actually, in these hot spots, because of how the news plays up the crime in the hot spots, right? Because, blood always sells in the news media. It actually also is encouraging to get people to want to defend themselves and have the means to do so. Some of the other findings in the report that are interesting is apparently 7 in 10 handgun owners say they carry a loaded handgun as protection against another person, dwarfing the number who said they carry for protection against an animal or for work. Yep. So the overwhelming majority of carry, 7 out of 10, is for self-defense against bad guys. Now, why should we even be shocked by that? I'm not. Of course it is. That's why good guys got to carry. I mean, come on. They also found that 4 in 5 handgun owners who reported carrying were male, 3 in 4 were white, and a majority were between 18 and 44. Now, gee, white and male, that's interesting. Why are they checking into that? Well, if you look deeper behind their approach of trying to make it out that it's some kind of white supremacy thing, which is, of course, the undercurrent to that little stat. The reality of it is that the institutionalized racism that's present is a discouragement to blacks from carrying. That's the reason, and we need to address that because the more folks that carry, the better. Any law-abiding citizen, responsible law-abiding citizen that carries makes you and me both safer. And so I think we'll see even way bigger numbers if we had the even more up-to-date studies and going back to 2019. But that itself shows you that the trend is going in the right way. It's going in the direction
You
of
also got to look at the
protection.
factor of COVID, because the 2019
Yeah,
there,
good
what
point,
happened
Ted.
where everyone gets locked up and everyone's can't go outside and you want to defend your home. I need something to carry. I need something to defend myself. So that's another one that blew up in the left's face.
And it did blow up, and it's continuing to. As a matter of fact, though, there's differences, things coming up with technology that we're talking about AI, we're talking about other impacts. Well, I just wanted to point this little story out here that I saw. This is from Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms. What happens when AI thinks a bag of chips is a gun? How about that, folks? When a bag of chips is a gun. That's right, because that's what happened to Taki Allen, who was hanging out with his friends in a football practice at Kentwood High School in Baltimore County. Police rolled up, confronted him at gunpoint about a pistol they thought he was carrying. He was placed in handcuffs and searched, but no gun was found. Instead, what he had was a bag of Doritos that he was holding that triggered a weapons alert by the AI-powered security system. How nice. So apparently he was just holding a bag of Doritos, and it registered it as a gun. I don't think they have the firearm seasoned Doritos yet, and it's just a situation where you have this incredible reaction where luckily no one was hurt. But you can well see nervous law enforcement drawing a gun down on this kid. And I'm glad law enforcement didn't mistake his bag of Doritos for a firearm. So, keep in mind that these AI systems are going to be emplaced in other areas, and I'm sure we're going to see growth of that. And we're probably going to see more and more of the problems, the glitches from these systems that are going to lead to folks getting injured, of unreasonable searches and seizures taking place. You can well see that in the future, so we better be aware of it. But next time with your bag of Doritos, beware that you may be triggering AI into thinking you're going to do harm with a firearm. How crazy is that? Hey, I want to tell you about our good friends at We Shoot. We Shoot is a range, an indoor range in Lakewood where Teddy and I both shoot. We get our training there. We love We Shoot, and so will you. We Shoot has some pretty cool stuff they're talking about that they're offering that you can go check out at the We Shoot Pro Shop. One is the Walther PDP Pro X, and that's their newest evolution in Walther performance with a full-size field, a top-tier trigger, and modular features for serious shooters. Then you have the Tavor X95. Ooh, we love the Tavor X95. We call it the Hebrew hammer, right? It's a compact bullpup chambered in 5.56, built for CQB power with Israeli military roots, and it has that wonderful futuristic function. Then you have the classic Smith & Wesson Model 36. That's the good old snub-nose 38 Special in the classic Model 36, the old J-frame that we love, that we call our pocket rocket. And they have a nice Model 36 there for you to check out, made by Smith. Just a great classic gun. You can get your training, you can get certifications, you can have a great range to practice. Go right there to We Shoot in Lakewood. Check out their website at weshootusa.com. They have beautiful photography, and they're just a wonderful place, and you will love it. They're a great resource for New Jersey gun owners. Right there, conveniently off the Parkway in Lakewood, New Jersey. Let me also mention our good friends at the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, anjrpc.org. So anjrpc.org has been hard at work fighting for our rights. They're in the courts as we speak. They're standing guard in the legislature with a full-time paid lobbyist. They are fighting as well, getting the word out about voting. What we have to do. We've got to get out there and vote. And the association is there serving you as Jerseyans, protecting our rights. You need to be a member of the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. They'll send you out great emails about alerts with easy steps you can take to make a difference. They'll also send you a wonderful printed newsletter, greatest newsletter out there in the state. They're the NRA affiliate, official state affiliate, and the largest pro-gun group in New Jersey, pro-Second Amendment rights. So make sure you join. Go to anjrpc.org and join today. You'll be glad you did. And let me also not forget to shamelessly promote my book, New Jersey Gun Law. It is the Bible of Jersey gun law. It's over 500 pages, 120 topics, question and answer, used every day by hundreds and hundreds of folks. It will help you to keep your guns, keep your gun rights, and stay out of jail. Jersey, as you know, is insane, and I try to make the insanity somewhat understandable so that you can stay within the crazy matrix of Jersey's gun laws and not fall into the traps, not be a go-foo. So make sure you get a copy of my book and scan the front cover for the QR right there so you can get the free updates. The comprehensive 2025 update is there waiting for you, including a standalone chapter of where you can carry under Jersey's carry killer bill and what's valid and what isn't at the moment. So get yourself a copy today. Go to evannappin.com, evannappin.com, and make sure you own the big orange book. So, Teddy, what do you have for us today?
Well, as we know, press checks are always free. And I wanted to, one of the big things that kind of was circulating, if everyone's been paying attention, is about what's been going on with Glock. as California issued their ban. And apparently, this comes from Bearing Arms, or Friends of Bearing Arms, from Cam Edwards. Gun world is buzzing as Glock's decision to discontinue dozens of its models. So there's been kind of the big shakeup.
They basically got rid of their entire line except for the slim compacts like the 43 and those guns. So they're no longer going to produce all those Glocks, and they're coming out with the new V series.
Correct. This was given to them by one of the several Glock distributors. Began reporting on Monday afternoon that the company will stop shipping all Gen 3s, Gen 5s, Gen MOS models as of November 30th, and will be rolling out the new V series in December of this year. This was from a video of Glock Shop with Gill.
Oh yeah,
That's
Lenny
very
McGill.
shocking.
Well,
And
you know, the Glock has been such a favorite and so reliable a firearm, and it's like probably the number one handgun in America at the moment.
yeah, Mitch Rapp would agree.
I'm sure he would. I know
But,
that there's, like I always say about a Glock, there's really good and really bad things about a Glock. What's really good about a Glock is when you pull the trigger, it goes bang. What's really bad about a Glock is when you pull the trigger, it goes bang. In other words, there's no manual safeties on it, okay? So your safety is in between your ears. So Glock is super reliable, but make sure you're always very conscientious about your trigger and following all the rules of safety when it comes to a Glock. They're great guns, but there's no mechanical safeties that are going to come to your aid if you get stupid. So be cautious with Glocks at all times, but I love them.
Yeah, and I will note in the article the company has not shown any ties to the anti-gun efforts to their change of their lineup with the new, but the timing and their response is very suspect of that, and they highlight the issue with growing use of illegal switches that convert semi-automatic pistols into machine guns. So, but it seems like that's kind of their response. And
Well, wait, let's talk about those. So those are the Glock switches, and they're able to be very easily printed with 3D printers for, it costs less than $1, I guess, in materials. And they'll go on the back of the Glock, they'll slide in, and then you can switch a semi-auto Glock so that it'll go full auto. And that's what these Glock switches do. And they're out there because they're so easy to make and so plentiful. And so apparently the understanding we have is that the V series will not be able to be converted with a Glock switch. Now, I don't have more technical information than that. Maybe they're just going to go with like a Pro trigger or something. But normally the way these things go is any technological change that gets made, then somebody invents a technological way around it. So I don't know. But for now, the idea, I'm sure, is to undercut this litigation and legislation as part of their announcement of their new line. Now, this new line may also have things like MOS on all the models as a standard feature. Who knows what other things it may have. It may be enhancements that may make it better, but then again, maybe not. And we've seen that before, Teddy, where manufacturers have changed their model guns and the old models become much more desirable than the new models. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen here for sure, but we've seen it before.
Correct, and that's one of my points I always try to make when it comes to the press checks is I find the best way to look at things is to look at, as you can see, they always try to push this in the guise of safety, and kind of the things that we want to highlight is for the 1911 Series 70 and the Series 80. Came from Pew Pew Tactical, where the giant change that they did. That when
Well, yeah. Well, you see, there is a more of a desirability, arguably, for Series 70 Colt 1911s versus the Series 80s, because with the 80s, they added a firing pin safety, and they added some changes to the bushing and what have you. And I mean, the Series 80 is still a damn good gun, but there became a preference and kind of a value added if you had a Series 70 and it still is to this day, more sought after, arguably. The triggers on a Series 70 were much better because of the design on the Series 80 to add in that safety. There's a little more, not as crisp, etc. Now, I'm sure with a lot of great gunsmithing, you can get that Series 80 to be real nice, but the Series 70 plainly has certain things that make it a preference. However, if you have your hammer down on a firing pin on a Series 70 and there's ammo there, that pin is actually going to push against the primer. So it doesn't have that firing pin safety. And that's what the Series 80 did, because the idea behind the 1911 is you're going to carry it cocked and locked. So the hammer is cocked, and then the safety goes up to lock it. And then on your Series 70, you have two safeties, basically, that are mechanical. You have your thumb safety, and then you have your grip safety. So you actually have two mechanical safeties. You got to be gripping it properly and then click down the thumb safety. But if you have a round in the chamber and the hammer's down and you don't have it cocked and locked, then arguably there could be some issue there. It's not a smart way to be carrying a firearm that is a single action automatic, semi-automatic pistol, single action. That's what your 1911 is. But folks love the Series 70, so there was a more of a desire to have the Series 70. You see the same thing with Winchesters, with pre-64 Winchesters, particularly the Model 70s, right? I mean, Teddy, about how...
Yeah, comparison where Winchesters prior were more handmade under the Japanese
Right.
firearm company.
Right.
To change the manufacturing to more of the factory style of that of the Japanese.
Right. I mean, the Winchesters are all good, but the preference again became for the firearm that had more hand work and had some differences in extractor and what have you, so that the Premier became the so-called pre-64 Winchester. It had value added on your Model 70 and other firearms made by Winchester. So that's something that became looked for. Then you saw it again with Smith & Wesson, right? What we see with Smith, the Hillary hole. So after that Rose Garden ceremony, they put that internal lock in the Smith & Wessons. People were not necessarily thrilled about that internal lock. And there were even reports of issues with it. And as soon as you add in these things, you make a gun less simple. And the more complex it is, the more likelihood you could have an issue that you don't want. And so the new Smiths became less preferred than the old Smiths. And that's still a thing. But nowadays, you can even get the Smiths without the Hillary hole. They'll offer many of their revolvers because people just don't want that internal locking device in their guns. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I would say that's the better comparison is that to what's going on with Glock and the Hillary hole, because that all came out of the frustration over the whole deal with Columbine, and if was kowtowing, which again you never appease crocodiles, and this is their trying to combat the safety issues of firearms.
Oh yeah,
really
that was that famous Rose Garden ceremony, and Smith. And then, as a matter of fact, there was a reaction by gun owners, in effect, to not even buy Smith and Wessons. After that, people were so disgusted with them giving in to the gambit, and their sales took a hit, and it was viewed at that time as somewhat of a sellout. Now, I'm not saying Glock is selling out. Okay, there are realities here of the litigation and the laws that will affect their ability on selling the guns, whether those fights can be won down the road or not. When if they just reinvigorate their line and they don't take away the reliability aspect that we all know and love about Glocks, maybe it will be okay. But Smith and Wesson is an example with what not to do. That's for damn sure, what not to do with them. And you still see Premier and premiums for the old Marlins, right? JM stamp Marlins get a premium over the other Marlins. I mean, I know Ruger now makes Marlins. They make a damn good product. Not saying anything else, but there's still that premium, that desire for the old ones. So we may see that all these pre-V model Glocks, pre-V model, may themselves have a premium. And although we see Glocks as plentiful, that may not end up being the case with the V models. It may go the route of the Series 70 versus 80. It may go the route of the Smith Hillary Hole versus not, the pre-64 Winchester. So look, if you have a Glock, I would say of the old models, hold on to it for now. Hold on to it, because you may see that there's a premium to the older generation Glocks. May very well happen. We don't know, because the new Glocks haven't come out. And if they do come out and then there's issues people are reporting, which could happen, particularly with new models, then there'll be a really big demand for the older models. And even if there is no issue, there'll still be that desire, if for no other reason than you want to have a Glock that they wanted you not to have, even though you have no intention of ever putting a Glock switch on it. There's still the factor that you now have a Glock that ended up being forced into model changes, and you have the old model. And we've seen that happen any number of times. We saw things change, like, for example, with the old Mac 10 semi-automatic pistol, right? The Mac 10. Now, Macs, of course, assault firearms, boogeymen under Jersey law. But back when the original Mac came out, it fired from an open bolt, and it was semi-auto. And then they said, oh, no, you can't have open bolt semi-auto. It's got to fire from the closed bolt because it could get too easily converted. But the open bolts are still legal, and of course there's a premium if you have an open bolt Mac. And you see this repeated so many times through the firearm industry, where the old models have an added value and more desirability. Now, whether or not that'll happen with Glock remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it, just given the history of so many other guns and how that very thing has happened. Hey, let me tell you about this week's GoFu, which is the Gun Owner F-Up. And the reason we talk about it is because it's actual cases of people making mistakes that can be very expensive, costly, cost you your freedom, cost you your rights. And you don't want to be a GoFu, so we like to talk about GoFus. And this week's GoFu has to do with the firearm that you carry. It may seem basic, but I need to say it. Make sure the gun that you carry is your firearm, your gun. Don't go and register your spouse's gun. When I say register, I mean list it on your carry permit as your carry gun when it's not your gun. Don't do that, okay? Because it's a firearm that is somebody else's. Why are you even handling it? How can you have been transferred it lawfully? It raises all kinds of questions and all kinds of problems. So make sure the guns that you list on your carry permit are actually your firearms. Don't be a gofoo. This is Evan Knappen and Teddy Knappen reminding you that gun laws don't protect honest citizens from criminals. They protect criminals from honest citizens.
Gun Lawyer is a Counterthink media production. The music used in this broadcast was managed by Cosmo Music, New York, New York. Reach us by emailing evan@gun.lawyer. The information and opinions in this broadcast do not constitute legal advice. Consult a licensed attorney in your state.